Okay, so this is why most fitness advice just doesn't work. You may have watched a really good video about fitness, things that work for other people on the internet. People like Jeff Nippard, Mike Isertel, Greg Doucette, they all have their different methods that work for them. To be honest, those methods probably aren't what you need. In this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly why, so maybe you can figure out how to take some of the good information that's on the internet, but figure out what applies to you and what does not apply to you. So let's jump into the video. Okay, so first off, one thing that is super important to understand is that fitness advice on the internet, there's so many different voices out there about different things that you can do. You know, I'm a big fan of watching Jeff Nippard, Mike Isertel, Greg Doucette. I used to, though, fall victim to watching V-Shred. Athlean X is a popular channel, one of the most popular channels, and some of that advice really didn't help me on my journey to try and lose weight. You know, when I first started lifting about 8 years ago, I really just didn't know what I was doing. And so one of the first things I did after a year of working out off and on was, the first thing I do is go to YouTube and find out, okay, what more can I do? And if you search generic things like how to lose weight, how to gain muscle, things like that, how to have a six-pack, these always come up with results that are super generic and probably actually not good advice. So there's different categories, right? There's bad advice, which are like the 6-minute ab workouts. And then there's like good advice, but maybe it's not the right advice for you. And diets kind of fall in this category a lot, where you have diets that, you know, might work for somebody because they enjoy all those things in that food category, but then there's other diets that don't work, right? So a lot of the reasons why certain fitness advice just doesn't work for everybody, why it may not work for you, is because it really depends on a lot of different factors. It's not so simple. Like when I've thought about like filming myself and my own like habits and food choices and exercises, things like that, I have a hard time like just wanting to put that out there because I know that that's specifically working for me, but it's because I've paid so much attention to my lifestyle, my daily choices, my job schedule, I have kids, I do certain recreational activities, so I kind of plan everything around that, right? And so the biggest thing for me is I have prioritized fitness in my life, so I plan everything around being able to do that. And so what this looks like for me is I'm able to get to the gym 6 times a week, but this took a lot of effort and management of my time, and I mean, this has taken multiple years. I did not used to be like this even 2-3 years ago. One of the biggest things for me was being able to wake up early in the morning. This is something that just works really well with my schedule because I can get going to the gym out of the way first thing in the morning and then go to work afterwards. And then when I come home, I can just come home and relax because I know if I come home, I'm not gonna wanna go 6 days a week out to the gym at like 7 or 8 o'clock usually because I'm tired, because I know that about myself, right? But sometimes waking up early is just not an option for some people, or you just really don't like it. It took me a long time to even like waking up early in the morning and going to the gym and lifting because I felt really weak. I definitely prefer, and I still kind of prefer working out in the afternoon or the evening because I just feel like I have more strength because I'm more awake. So that's something to keep in mind is there's all kinds of different factors. One of the other factors is, you know, what you do for a career. If you're in a job like me where you sit at a desk for a really long time and you're not walking a lot, you're not taking a lot of steps, then my advice for you would be very different from somebody who is out walking all the time or takes like 15,000 steps a day or is doing a lot of physical labor, construction workers especially. If you're doing something like that, you're probably not going to get the same advice from me as somebody who is sitting at a desk job all day. Then there's the other factor of what sort of foods are you used to eating in your house? What does your wife actually want to make? So I'm probably not gonna have just egg whites and toast for breakfast every single day because my wife doesn't like eating that. So what are the environmental factors? I have kids too, so like how do I factor that in? I could be super duper disciplined about I'm only gonna have chicken rice, something like that, but that's just not realistic. Most people do not have the discipline to just completely isolate themselves from everybody else and to do their own thing because eventually you're gonna feel like you're missing out or your willpower is gonna run out. A really big problem with fitness advice that you find on the internet watching YouTube videos is you get conflicting advice. So I had this problem all the time where I'd watch one video from a YouTube influencer that I was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So I do that for about 2 weeks, but I keep watching YouTube videos from other creators, and then I get different ideas for things to do. And so I keep like not actually committing to a plan. One of the things that I have gotten better at over time is something that one of my favorite channels, Renaissance Periodization, does, is they talk a lot about periodizing your workouts. So that means having like a 6 to 8 week period where this is the workout that I'm doing, and then you take a break for a week, and then you do another period of 8 weeks. And so usually how I plan my workouts and my dieting schedule is I will plan on, okay, I have a 6 to 8 week period. Let's just say it's November now. So November, December, I'm gonna be bulking. I'm not gonna eat as a less food than normal. I'm probably going to eat more food than normal because of the holidays. So because of that, I'm going to try and lift 6 days a week and do like a push-pull leg split. Whereas once January hits, I might for January, February, change my periodization to be focused more on doing cardio and upping my steps and eating less food so that I can cut off the fat that I've gained maybe over this bulking phase, and to think of it that way. And the biggest thing is you're going to get conflicting advice about things to do. The people on YouTube don't know what your day-to-day, where you are at in your goals. So, you know, take some of the advice from them as like helpful information, but then remember, like if you're watching a video about cutting when you're trying to bulk, that may not be helpful because 3 weeks in, you're going to be like, I just want to cut now. And you're going to lose all the benefits of doing like an 8-week bulk. Biggest thing that might be slowing down your progress is consistency over optimization. So, you know, you watch all kinds of YouTube videos about optimizing this, optimizing that, getting more steps in, getting more cardio, but the real thing that will actually get you towards your goals is consistency. And I don't mean just like, oh, I'm gonna hit this crazy workout for 8 weeks every single day. What you need to plan on is like the journey for you to get from where you look like right now to your desired weight might take you a year, it might take you 2, it might take you 5, right? But what will get you there is a daily or consistent cadence of actually doing the workouts, doing the periodization, taking breaks, but like having a consistent plan where it's like, I'm not gonna change what I'm working on over the next 5 years. I'm not gonna get discouraged by looking at my weight overly obsessing about it, because I know eventually if I keep doing the right things and keep making intentional decisions, I'm going to look the way I want or be happy with the way that I look. So focus on consistency over optimization because it's just super important and way more important than optimizing. Just get to the gym consistently, don't overdo it, don't feel the pressure of having to look like the fitness influencers that you see online. A big thing that might actually mess up your progress too is on the opposite vein of that, pre-existing beliefs. So you might have watched something a long time ago. I know for me, there have been certain things like how diets work, counting calories, what exercises are helpful or not. I've seen videos where it's like, don't do deadlifts because they're not super engaging for certain muscles. And then I've watched videos where I should be doing deadlifts and like things like that, where there's conflicting advice. But you know, you might have watched something 5 years ago that conflicts with what you know now, or you might have thought that that was the correct information, but now you realize, oh, I don't actually think that is the correct information. Like, pay attention to the things that you think are reality. Don't just assume that they are reality is what I'm kind of trying to say. Test the things that you think you know about fitness, the way you think calories work, the foods that you think are healthy. You know, big one for me that was like, oh, every single time I was dieting, I would always have like peanut butter and apples or peanut butter and celery. And then I realized like I am eating so much peanut butter and this actually is adding up crazy amounts of calories. But I didn't realize that for like 5 years of exercising. And that was one of the pre-existing beliefs that was really hurting my gains. And I had no idea because I just assumed from something I watched a long time ago that that was helpful for me. And the last thing is just take the pressure off of yourself. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself when you go in the gym. If you're uncomfortable, like nobody's watching you. And if they are, who cares, right? But then also something that I've stopped doing is I've stopped telling a lot of people about my fitness goals until I've kind of hit what I want. So I tell my wife I'm working out consistently, but I'm not gonna go into super crazy details. What I tried to do over time is, figure out what worked for me, and then I lost 50 pounds, and I kind of waited for people to actually notice. I wasn't just being like, hey, did you know that I lost 50 pounds? Like, big deal. I put in the work, and then people finally noticed eventually. But like, we're talking about a year and a half of time where I started on my journey, got to the way I wanted to look, or at least closer, and people finally noticed from there. And I just had a lot more credibility because I did the thing instead of telling people that I'm gonna do the thing, creating pressure for myself. Big thing with this is also posting it on the internet. Like, don't necessarily do that unless you know you're going to be consistent. And the biggest thing is sometimes it's really hard when you're super busy to know exactly what you should be doing. This is why I've created this YouTube channel and why I've been making fitness content, is because I like doing this all on the side and understanding what works for me. I've learned a lot over the past 8 years, and I kind of want to share that knowledge with other people. So if you're interested in that, you know, I do offer a one-on-one consultation, which basically is you and me sitting down for an hour talking about your fitness goals, what you know, what you don't know, maybe some of your pre-existing beliefs, maybe some YouTube videos that you watch that you feel like you're trying and they're not working. If you are interested in me doing a one-on-one consultation with you to just help you uncover and have clarity on your goals, to get really specific, to figure out what foods might be hindering your progress, I offer that if you just go to fitness.malachicorliss.com. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.